I couldn't believe the words as they left her mouth. 2 years together, countless memories, plans for the future, and in a calm, almost casual tone, she said, "I'm not ready for something serious." That single sentence hit me like a freight train. In that moment, my world didn't just shake, it shattered completely. Everything I thought I knew about us, about our future, about love itself, seemed to vanish in an instant. There was no warning, no argument, no dramatic fight beforehand, just a calm declaration that ended us. I remember sitting there in stunned silence, trying to process what she had just said. 2 years. 2 years of planning our weekends, talking about the future, sharing secrets and fears, dreaming together, and suddenly she was telling me she couldn't commit. My instinct was to argue, to convince her that we could make it work, to plead for another chance. But there was no anger, no malice in her voice, only a calm, almost distant clarity that made it impossible to fight. How could someone who shared their life with me for so long suddenly say they weren't ready for the very thing we had been moving toward together? The contradiction was almost unbearable. I had thought I knew her, but in that moment, I realized how little I really did. Over the following hours, I replayed every interaction we had ever had in my head. I went through our conversations, our fights, our laughter, and every small gesture that had seemed insignificant at the time but now felt like pieces of a puzzle I didn't know I was solving too late. Was I not enough for her? Did I expect too much? Was I too controlling, too eager, too oblivious to her needs? Or was this entirely about her own fears, insecurities, or personal timing? My heart wanted answers, but there were none forthcoming. Only the echo of her words and the sudden emptiness where she used to be. It was as if the life I had known had been rewritten in a single sentence, leaving me behind to make sense of it alone. I had noticed small changes in her behavior over the last few months, less frequent messages, a certain hesitation in making plans, a subtle withdrawal, but I convinced myself it was just stress or exhaustion. I ignored the quiet warnings because I wanted everything to feel normal. I wanted to believe in the narrative I had created in my head, that our love was solid, our connection unbreakable, and our future certain. But those small signals, which I had dismissed as trivial, were the threads of a story she was ready to untangle without me. And when she finally spoke, all the little signs snapped into focus, painful and unavoidable. The first night alone was almost unbearable. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and every vibration of my phone made my heart race in a futile hope that she would text, explain, or ask for forgiveness. I went over our past constantly, trying to find a reason, a mistake, or a moment where I could have done something differently. I asked myself questions I didn't know how to answer. How did 2 years of love and shared life suddenly mean so little? I felt betrayed, confused, abandoned, and yet powerless to change what had already happened. The house felt hollow, and every corner seemed to remind me of her absence, her laughter, and the emptiness left behind. Heartbreak is a strange thing. It's not just sadness. It's a mixture of emotions that collide and compete for attention. Anger rises and falls with waves of longing, regret, and disbelief. There's a constant questioning of oneself. What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Could I have tried harder? I went through all of it, often within the span of a single hour, sometimes even a single minute. I remembered every shared experience, every intimate moment, and every small promise we had made to each other. Some memories made me smile through tears, others made me ache with a pain I hadn't thought possible. But as the days passed, I realized that the pain was also teaching me something profound. Love, as beautiful as it is not always enough. 2 years of history, intimacy, and shared dreams cannot force two people to align in their readiness, timing, or commitment. I began to understand that her decision was not necessarily a reflection of my worth or our love, but rather a matter of her personal journey, her fears, and her timing. Sometimes, people cannot give what they are not ready to give, no matter how deep their feelings may be. It's a bitter truth, but it's also a liberating one once you accept it. In the weeks following our breakup, I went through the full spectrum of emotional upheaval. I felt sadness so intense it seemed physical, anger at the universe for allowing this to happen, confusion about how something so real could end, and even occasional relief that perhaps the cracks I had ignored were finally exposed. I remembered every small disagreement, every moment of doubt, every subtle shift in her demeanor that I had dismissed. In hindsight, the breakup made sense in a way that it hadn't before. It revealed the underlying truth we had both been avoiding. Letting go was one of the hardest things I had ever done. Initially, I tried to convince myself that if I fought hard enough, if I texted enough, if I expressed enough love, I could bring her back. But deep down, I knew that love that needs to be forced isn't love at all. True love means respecting someone else's readiness, their boundaries, and their journey, even when it hurts. It means stepping back when your presence may not be what the other person needs, even if it leaves you feeling incomplete. It means recognizing that holding on out of fear or attachment is not a gift to them, but a cage for yourself. During this period of reflection, I began to rediscover myself. I focused on my goals, my friendships, my passions, and the parts of my life that had been neglected while I poured so much of myself into a relationship that no longer existed. I revisited hobbies, reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in months, and reminded myself of who I was outside of us. In many ways, her leaving forced me to confront myself in a way that being together never had. It was painful, yes, but it was also transformative. I learned to value my own identity and understand that my life, my happiness, and my growth cannot be solely dependent on someone else. I also realized that closure doesn't always come from the other person. I never got the perfect explanation, the apology, or the reassurance I wanted. Instead, I had to create my own closure. I had to process my emotions honestly, accept the reality of the situation, and understand that sometimes people leave not because of what you lack, but because of what they cannot give. I learned to channel my pain into growth, using it as a lens to understand love, relationships, and myself more deeply. Writing, reflecting, and talking to close friends became my therapy, my way of reclaiming control over my own narrative. Looking back now, I don't regret loving her or investing so much into our relationship. The experience was real, meaningful, and life-changing. Yes, it hurt in ways I hadn't thought possible, but it also taught me empathy, resilience, patience, and the importance of timing in love. I understood that not every relationship is meant to last forever, and not every heartbreak is a failure. Sometimes, a breakup is simply a necessary chapter, preparing you for a future that is more aligned with your needs, desires, and timing. Even today, I think of her sometimes, and there's a bittersweet nostalgia in remembering our moments together. But the pain no longer consumes me. I've accepted that love is not about possession, it's about understanding, growth, and sometimes letting go when the timing isn't right. 2 years may have ended abruptly, but the lessons I carry are invaluable. I am stronger, wiser, and more self-aware because of it. My heart has been broken, yes, but it has also been rebuilt, piece by piece, into something more resilient than before. If there's one takeaway from my experience, it's that heartbreak is not the end. It's a beginning, a chance to rediscover yourself, to understand your own needs, and to prepare for a love that aligns with both hearts and timing. When someone says they're not ready for something serious, it doesn't diminish your worth. It simply highlights that their journey is not yet compatible with yours. Painful as it may be, heartbreak can be a powerful teacher, guiding you towards self-growth, understanding, and a deeper appreciation for the love you are meant to have in the future. So I move forward with my head held high, carrying the memories and lessons with me. I remain grateful for the love we shared, the laughter, the tears, and the growth it prompted. I am ready for the next chapter, knowing that love, in all its forms, is worth experiencing, even when it ends too soon. Heartbreak, after all, is not just about loss, it's about learning, evolving, and realizing that sometimes the most painful endings pave the way for the most beautiful beginnings.